So what is Japanese for you did what? That's Shohei Ohtani. He's probably wondering what his close friend and confidant Ippei Mizura was doing with the better part of $4.5 million, apparently stealing that and more on illegal gambling. Now, of course, his good friend, who, of course, has been fired from the Dodgers, said he never bet on baseball. I think it was something to do with soccer. Anyway, this is way beyond my comprehension. Doug Eldridge here to help me out with this. He's a sports agent extraordinaire, the Achilles PR founder. Doug, what happened here?
Well, this is a confusing tale, Neil, to say the least. For skeptics, it's a slam dunk. For fans, it's confusing. For Major League Baseball, it's ulcer-inducing. The story, as we understand it, as of now, is that last fall, an illegal California bookmaker was raided in October as part of a broader federal investigation. As they delved into his computers and his notebooks, etc., they found a series of wire payments from Ohtani's account, made apparently directly from Ohtani. ESPN got wind of this story a couple of weeks ago and really started sinking their claws in and digging to it. Their investigative team is ruthless, if nothing. And I say that to say, Tuesday of this week, Ohtani's translator was booked for a 90-minute sit-down with ESPN to say that he had a gambling problem, that he came to Ohtani and confessed that Ohtani was upset but agreed to pay off the debts. Then 24 hours later, as the world turns, right, 24 hours later, he recanted that statement. The interview was scrubbed. Ohtani's legal team circled the wagons and said, not only did Ohtani not know about this, but this money was in fact stolen. He had no role in it, and we are saying that the better part of $4.5 million has been illegally taken from Ohtani's accounts.
So wait a minute. Now, Ohtani didn't front him the $4 million to cover those losses. So that story is not true?
Well, you got to understand, for legal sports betting, and first of all, let's back up to 50,000 feet. When the Supreme Court kicked down that 6-3 ruling a couple of years ago, they didn't make sports gambling legal. What they determined is that it's no longer illegal on a national level. They kicked it down to each of the 50 states to make their own regulations. 30 or 39 have already done so, and to great financial effect. California, remember Ohtani played for Anaheim and now the LA Dodgers. California is one of the few that has not. As recently as 2022, the residents voted down 2 measures that would have legalized it in a very narrow capacity.
But that's not my question. My question here, Doug, is did Ohtani front him the money to help him out or not?
No.
It might not be important in the final scheme of things, but if he didn't, and this guy said he did, where does this go?
Well, it's relevant, and that's where I'm going, because for legal sports gambling, you have to front the money. Illegal sports gambling, which is what took place here, you're allowed to gamble on credit, which is how Ohtani's translator purportedly racked up a $4.5 million debt. Much like home run hitters, when you swing for the fences every time, you might hit it out of the ballpark, but you're also going to have fantastic strikeouts. And the deeper he got in the hole, the heavier he purportedly tried to bet to get out of that hole.
And Ohtani never knew that he was getting in a deeper and deeper hole. Where do these two gentlemen stand now? Of course, Ohtani was part of this 2-game series, I guess, in South Korea. Was this fellow Mizura with him?
Yes, he was in Seoul, but his locker and his bags were effectively packed. In terms of who has more to lose here, it's unquestionably Ohtani. You got to remember, Neil, he signed a 10-year, $700 million contract, the largest in North American history, and Fox Business, he deferred all but $20 million of that to start being paid out 10 years from now.
Why do you think he has more to lose? You think there's more losses here that will come up, or that he could potentially be personally involved? He says
100%.
no.
100%, because
Really?
you have to remember, Major League Baseball as a league has a dark history with illegal sports gambling, from the 1919 World Series to Pete Rose, and that's why they've implemented really a 3-pronged rule as it comes to gambling. You are allowed to gamble, it just can't be on baseball. Number 2, you're only allowed to use authorized legal sports book or sports book apps. Number 3, it has to be in a state which permits it, and number 4, if you break any of these rules, you're subject to commissioner discipline, which is at a minimum a 1-year suspension, but again, it can go north of that. So Ohtani has a lot to lose, as does MLB from a PR standpoint. They can't afford another black eye, literally or figuratively.
So where does this go? For Ohtani, you know, obviously you talk about the potential of more losses and everything else. Obviously it's a blemish on his squeaky clean image. He just got married. He's a marketing sensation, I believe the highest paid athlete around these days. So
yes, sir.
What of that?
Well, now it's a federal investigation, and Ohtani's lawyers have said, listen, a couple of things. Number one, Ohtani had no knowledge of this. He's never spoken with his illegal sportsbook maker out of California, who's now under federal indictment. Number three, he did not make these payments. Number four, this money was stolen, and now we're essentially going to cooperate with federal authorities to make sure that our client comes out clean and clear. So he does have a lot to lose, and cooperation is key at this point. The devil, as they always say, is in the details. So I think this is only the beginning of the story, not nearly the end.
He would not be the first major athlete in baseball. I've seen it in boxing, I've seen it in football, who trusts their money and their basic financial instincts to an aide or a subordinate, and it doesn't work out.
That's so true. And the only thing more, as an agent or as an advisor, the only thing that's more frustrating than seeing your client make a mistake is seeing his or her inner circle do that, because those are people that you haven't necessarily vetted, but they've trusted. You can remember a couple of years ago, Adrian Peterson, the standout NFL running back. Sure. He had his cousin or his brother that was running his foundation and was writing checks out of the foundation for strippers and parties and stuff like that, and Peterson had no idea. Just amazing. Absolute free fall. So you can never be too careful. As I always tell my son, a dime is smaller than a penny, but it's not the size of your circle that determines the value.
That's very, very good. I'm going to steal that one. Doug, thank you very much.